Now, having been introduced to various JavaScript properties, functions, and attributes, today we are going to deepen our understanding of those attributes by simply tackling this simple but complex Fizzbuzz game. This is a simple game children play in UK where let's assume you are the teacher and you are at the gate, the entrance, let's say the profile of the classroom, and you have to start calling out the children one after the other from number 1 to 100. Okay. Now, for the multiples of 3, when you get to number 3 or a number divisible by 3, instead of calling fees, you say, instead of calling the number, you say fees, all right, instead of the number. And when you get to a number that is divisible by 5, instead of calling that number, you call buzz. Okay, and for the multiples of both 3 and 5, meaning if the number as the teacher you're about to call out, okay, is divisible by both 3 and 5, what you are going to call out is a Fizzbuzz. This exercise is intended to see students' general mental ability or general problem solving skill, okay, because you are going to introduce yourself to other functions apart from the ones we have looked at so far. So let's quickly look at this and how we can tackle this problem. The first stage of the problem is to print a program or to create a program that prints from number 1 to 100. So let's look at it this way. Now, in this place, I have my HTML page. I'm going to the JavaScript page. Okay, it's linked already. Look at where it is linked, the java-today.js. I believe you must have understood this part by now. Okay, so let's go ahead. The first thing I want to do is create a program that prints the numbers from 1 to 100. Create a function. Let me say a function. And this function, what does it do? The name is, let me call it printer. Yes, equal to. Okay, the name of the function is Fizzbuzz. Rather, is Fizzbuzz. So I don't need to use something else. I want to be the exercise exactly as it's supposed to be done. So I'll put my parenthesis because it's a function. Okay, then open my curly braces. Inside this curly braces, as usual, I put all the executable lines of instruction that will be carried out each time this function Fizzbuzz is invoked. Okay, right now I have simply created a function that does nothing. Okay, it simply does nothing. It's Fizzbuzz, and the computer has taken cognizance. The compiler has recorded that this user have created a function called Fizzbuzz. But right now, this function does nothing. All right, before I can even create the function, okay, maybe I console.log, for instance. I'm trying to print out something. I want to know what, be able to print something by the time I call this function. For now, I'm going to call this function here so that each time I reload my page, I'll be able to see it. Okay, put the parentheses and put the semicolon to show you are making a statement. Okay, even before this function, I'm going to create a variable that we this variable is going to be an array. Okay, and I'm going to call it okay, this is where I should put printer now. Okay, variable printer equal to an empty array. Whenever you see this block, or sorry, this square bracket, it's simply it has to do with collection of data. I remember in one of these classes I mentioned to you that arrays usually contain related data. What I mean by related data, which I even tried to explain in that video, is that, take for instance, I want to have a variable that is holding all the values for cars that I'm using in my project. Take for instance variable car, or let's say cars equal to, now inside this block bracket I can have something like maybe pens. Okay, now on the next one I can have something like Toyota. Do you understand? So instead of having maybe variable A, Benz, variable B, Toyota, variable C, Another one, another car, maybe Lexus. Instead of doing it like this, so instead of having them separate, like separately, you have a variable containing all those values. You see why I said they are related? The group of data you have in arrays are usually related data. Okay, in this case, I hope you understood this. We are going to even have, as we continue, more lessons on this, and it will make more meaning to you. Okay, so here, right now, if I console.log printer, printer contains nothing. Yes, it contains nothing. Take, for instance, let me load that page. Remember, this function is invoked with Fizzbuzz here. It means the function is invoked. Okay, so here I can control F5 to reload. See what I have, an empty array, because I'm printing right now. What I'm printing is a printer, and printer have nothing inside of it. Can you see that? It's an empty array. That's why it's displayed like that. Just that. Okay, now let's begin to add something. We are trying to be able to print numbers, to print 1, 2, 3 to 100. So what do I do? I'm going to create another variable, and this variable, I'm going to call it adder. Okay, you can call it whatever you like, but remember I told you in the last video that it is better to use descriptive names whenever you are naming your variables. So variable other equal to 1. At this point, I will explain to you, just like I explained to you in the previous class, that we have various types of data. Yes, we have objects. Example of object is array. Okay, it has to do with collection of data. And we have numbers, just like adder. Adder is a number. It contains simply 1, can be 2, whatever numbers you want to put. But the data type is a adder. Okay. You can also have Boolean. Boolean returns your response in either true or false format. You understand, when it's true or when it's false. That's what Boolean actually does. Okay. So you have objects, you have numbers, okay, you have a Boolean, you also have strings. What is strings? Strings has to do with characters put together, like sentences, text. These are different data types, and you don't handle them the same way. Okay, let's continue. Let's continue. Right now, if I go ahead and run this code again, printer is still going to be empty because nothing has been done apart from creating another variable called adder. And what the compiler has done at this point in time is to simply also take cognizance of the fact that this user have also created another variable called adder, and it has the value 1. It is simply taking record, okay, but no computation is taking place right now. All right, so here I will come here and I will say printer. I'm trying to add something now. Printer.push. What am I pushing inside printer? In these brackets, I'm pushing adder. You know, I want you to see every process in everything we do, because I believe that's the only way it will make meaning to you. And that way we are actually adopting beginner approach in these exercises. So let me run this code right now. So you see that printer now has a content. It's no longer 0. It's no longer empty. It now has something. Okay. But before we continue, the exercise says we should trigger this with a button. So I'm going to create a button right now. That's what we are going to do. On the HTML page, we are going to create a button. And here is okay. I call that button, and the name of that button is a Fizzbuzz. All right. Okay. Now on click, when you click this button, what happens? That's the on click event. That's what I want to add. When you click this button, what happens? What happens is a Fizzbuzz. All right. and also put the parentheses. This is what will identify it here as a function. All right, we are cool. So we have a button called Fizzbuzz, and when clicked on, it will invoke this function called Fizzbuzz. What function is that? This is the function we have created on this page, which is this. Okay, so let me remove this invocation. Cool. So now I will need a button to run the code. So when I reload, I have this button, Fizzbuzz. So when I click on it, it prints 1. You see what is happening? So right now it's printing 1, 1. It keeps adding that 1. Because of this, look at the lines of code here. It says console.log printer. Do you understand? That's what I'm printing out. Now printer.push adder. This is adding this 1 into this array. It keeps pushing and pushing. So a push is just like you can see. Yes, what it does is add new information to the array, adding new information to the one you already have. But you must know that when you're using push, it doesn't place your values randomly. It places the value at the next available space. That is at the end. That's why it keeps placing the value. Now, a closely related function is the pop. What the pop does for you is to remove where push inserts value into your list of items in the array. Pop removes. They work in opposite directions. Okay, so here I have a printer.push adder. All right, so what do I need to do? Because right now the result we have is not the desired result. What you want to do is each time we run this code, we want it to print 1, 2, 3 continually, like in ascending order, to continually print from 1 to 100. This is that teacher now. Do you understand? And he's calling the students 1, 2, but then this time what you're having is a 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. No, we are not just looking for repetition. We want an increment. And in that case, to achieve that, we are going back to our lines of code, and we are simply going to add this, which is an adder. We simply say adder plus plus. Yes, it means that at each iteration, add. I don't think I can explain it better. So here I reload my page now. Now when I click Fizzbuzz, I have 1. Click another one, I have 2. Do you understand it? 3, 4, 5. This is going to continue printing numbers as long as you keep calling. Do you understand? You invoke the function with this button, Fizzbuzz, and it will print a new number for you. Do you really understand what you're looking at now? Now let's go back to that exercise. The exercise says a program that prints numbers from 1 to 100. Okay, but for multiples of 3, you print fizz. So we have solved just number 1. Do you understand me? We have solved just number 1, and the number 1 is printing from 1 to 100. We have solved the A part of this exercise. Now, number 2 is for the multiples of 3. This means that as you are calling out these numbers, if the number you're about to call is divisible by 3, instead of calling that number, call fizz. When we say call or print, we are trying to say display, show. You understand? Print, I think print is a language that originated from Python. Print is like what you have as alert in JavaScript. It's like similar to console.log too, but even though it's not for, it may not be for developer purpose like console.log, but print actually, literally, when you hear print in programming, it's like saying show, display, show us. You understand? Display. That's what print is actually implying here. So, but if the number you're about to print, about to call out, is divisible by 5, you call buzz instead. And if that same number is divisible by both 3 and 5, so what you're going to call or print is Fizzbuzz. So this is going to introduce us to or deepen our knowledge of the if statement, because we are obviously going to use the if statement to carry this out. All right, so here we say if bracket opens, now other, which is the increment, is where we are getting our increment from. If other, okay, now modulo 3 is equal to, I like to put space, even though it won't change anything. It's equal to 0, okay? And I'm going to put and now, and I have that on 7, put it 2 times. This is using the AND statement. And other, okay, modulo 5, that is other divided by 5, is equal to 0. Okay, now in curly braces, this is where I will decide what will happen. So what I will do now is the printer.push. So what I'm pushing inside printer is a fizz. Sorry. Okay. Good. That's what I'm doing. Printer.push fizz. It's just that simple. Now look at this exercise. Look at this. We are handling this first. The Fizzbuzz. That should be Fizzbuzz, not fizz. If it's divisible by 3, the same time divisible by 5. So what we are pushing in is a Fizzbuzz. Okay. So else if bracket opens to. So else if other, okay, modulo 3 is equal to 0. Okay. So what happens? You define that in curly braces. You will say printer dot push. Okay, what are you pushing in? This time I'm pushing in fizz. All right. Okay, put my semicolon and else if again. Okay, else if bracket opens other modulo 5 is equal to 0. That's if other divided by 5 is 0. Open your curly braces and push in buzz instead. And that has to be in quote too. Okay. Semicolon again. And in every other S, in every other situation, okay, what are we going to do? Else printer.push other. All right, cool. So let's look at our lines of code very well. Yes, let's look at our kind, and we are not done. And having achieved that, we have to remove this other. The increment doesn't have to be here. Your order of codes matters a huge deal because the compiler starts from the top to bottom. Okay, so where you place your codes matters a huge deal. You cannot randomly place the codes. No. So look at it. Here I have 2 global variables, which is the printer and is an empty array. Then I have another variable, which is other, containing 1. So using the push function or attribute, I said if other divided by 3, sorry, is 0, the same other divided by 5 is also 0. That's if. So what's going to happen? Printer.push Fizzbuzz. Okay. I hope this is exactly what you're looking at here. And if it's multiples of 3 and 5, Fizzbuzz, we took care of this first because while the numbers are being called out, we don't want to miss any. So we need to take care of 3 and 5 first before taking care of 3 or taking care of 5. That's the meaning of what you did in this place. We first took care of if other modulo 3 is equal to 0 and other modulo 5 is equal to 0. So what is going to happen? Printer.push Fizzbuzz. If you go through these lines of code over and over again, anyway, let's run and know if we are right. But the point I'm trying to establish is when you do this over and over, you will get used to what you want to achieve. So now let's reload and the Fizzbuzz. So here I have 1, I have 2, I have Fizz. You see, when I go to 3 now, what I have is a Fizz. That's perfect. So I have a 4. All right. I have Buzz, which is 5. Okay. So I have a 6. I want to get Fizzbuzz. Yes. So here I have a Fizz again, 7, 8. Now Fizz on 9, 10. I think the first Fizzbuzz will get to be 11 because sorry, will be 15 because 15 is divisible by both 3 and 5. So here we keep pointing 13, 14, and 15. This is the first Fizzbuzz that we got. All right, so you can keep doing this and you will keep getting your uh, game running smoothly. So this is just as simple as that. We have simply created a program that prints numbers in ascending order, okay? And for the multiples of 3, we have been able to print Fizz. And for the multiples of 5, we print Buzz. And for the multiples of both 3 and 5, we print Fizzbuzz. And this is what this exercise really want us to. And we have triggered it with a function. So we have taken care of this part of the exercise too. Okay, so the exercise is sweet and interesting, and I want you to go through it, do it yourself, be able to achieve this exercise, um, and look at your codes. Remember, I mentioned to you that writing the codes is not the problem. As you continue to build projects, you will naturally know how to write these codes. Yes, that's for sure. As you continue to build projects, writing codes will not be a problem. Where you should focus on much more is the general problem solving skill, your GMA, okay? Your ability to analyze situations and break these problems down before you can represent them in code. So, and sometimes it's after you run your code, you now have to check where you must have omitted something or added something that is not necessary. And this is how this exercise is achieved. Thank you very much for being part of this class with us. We are looking forward to you joining us by this time next week, Friday, as we continue to bring you various JavaScript beginner projects to help you master the skills you need to build interactive web pages and web applications. Thank you very much, and please follow our page for more. Thank you, and God bless you.